times. Today, my first guest is actually the director of publicity. I can't see my face. The director of publicity for Dr. Tranquility Talks radio show. And the reason that I have her, and also the director of marketing coming in later, is because they are younger than I am. And I thought it would be great to get the input about dating in their 20s and early 30s, and just have a fun time talking with them. So I'm just going to pay some bills, and we will be right back with Dr. Tranquility Talks Conscious Dating and Relationships. Hi, I am Dr. Tranquility for Lifted Infused Teas. That is Kelly Rae has gone from the classroom to the boardroom and the boardroom to the classroom. She is a distance Reiki master teacher, and she also has an MBA in finance, as well as a BA in education. She really believes the mind-body-spirit connection is the most powerful. And she is here to help you with your dating relationships, your marriage ships, your couple ships, your business partnerships. Kelly Rae is the one to call. KellyRaeCoaching.com. Hey, so we are so excited that you're back with us. Hi, this is Dr. We are going to get started. This is Camille Hayes, and she is my 20-something go-to girl who is we're going to kind of feel each other out and see the differences in dating. You know, in the time of COVID, it's a very different situation than it was, you know, at any other previous time. In that it's extended so long. We've been dealing with it now for such a long
Since
time.
March, yeah.
So what are some of the ways that you date in the time of COVID?
Great question. I do feel like it's a little bit more limiting. I stopped online dating actually, just because I felt like it was exposure to people that I didn't really have a friend of a friend. And it's so hard now to really trust people with, you know, being accurate, whether they have COVID or not.
Yes.
So really, I feel like the biggest thing for me is to still continue going out, but keeping the mask on, and then just like making sure that that person is not showing any COVID symptoms.
Yes.
And then also being able to like detect, like, for me, it was all about matching their mouth versus their eyes, and like what they were saying was accurate. So it's been a little bit more challenging to read body language because of that.
Well, I'll teach you.
Yeah.
Body language. You want to talk about safe sex.
Yeah. Exactly.
You got a mask on the face and you're keeping a distance socially. So we're a teeny bit closer than we would normally be, but we're around each other all the time. So we're taking our chances. And if we were to socially distance, one of us would be off screen.
And we've both been tested negative, so.
So, you know, the next thing that I want to ask you about is, what do you find when you go out on dates with these guys? What have you found to be different than before COVID?
So I feel like with COVID happening, I just, and also you introducing yourself into my life, it's been a blessing because I've been studying a lot more of the astrology, especially based on last week's episode. I don't know if you guys watched, but I asked the question of how you compare and determine whether that person that you're dating is a soulmate or a karmic relationship. So I feel like I've just been studying a lot more and writing down my red flags and what characteristics. So that way my intuition is a lot stronger, so I can determine.
Yeah, that was Dr. Rakesh Kumar, by the way, and you'll find him if you Google him. He's out in, I believe it's Forest Hills area, Queens, but he does distance healing as well, and he's a Vedic astrologer and just yum yum. And then coming up, just to get this in, we're going to have Elizabeth Yarnell tuning in with us, and it's so exciting. She's going to be talking about inflammatory foods. I don't know how you guys feel, but when I go on a date, the last thing I want is gas.
Right. Exactly.
And although it is better out for you than in, if you can reduce the inflammation and the gas, you'll look great in all your clothes. Your stomach will flatten out. And
I mean, we love kale, but
yeah, I can always tell. I had one yesterday. I should have known better than to do that before I come on air.
Same.
But we're just so excited she's going to be with us. Okay, so getting back into the COVID chat. Have you found, or do you know of a lot of people who are still hooking up with strangers in the time of COVID?
Yeah, and I do feel like New Yorkers especially, they've kind of adapted this attitude where it's like, okay, we've already gone through the worst of COVID, so a lot of people are being careless. And for me, I'm just trying to raise awareness with people that, hey, we're almost about to have our second wind of this, and it's not a disease where it's like a flu virus. It just keeps, matriculating into something else. And I noticed that a lot of my friends are not being that careful. They're online dating a lot. And I really strongly advise to people, don't be weird. Keep a mask on. It's the new normal. And then also to really be knowledgeable about the symptoms and, keep the mask on for the first part of the dating. I noticed a lot of people feel like they're not going to be noticed if they don't, but that's one thing.
Well, do you find they're still hooking up, sexually?
Yes.
Or are they behaving?
Yeah. And I do feel like I've had a couple of people try to kiss me and it's been a little awkward. Are you okay or are you not? So it's very tough on my generation because I'm a little bit more reserved. I've missed out on a couple opportunities, but my friends, I've noticed a lot more people are just carefree about it and I'm nervous about it. Actually, there was an instance the other night. We were all hanging out in a group and a girl had tested positive the next day. So luckily I had kept my mask on, but that's why I always tell people for a first meeting, or especially if you're having sex for the first couple of times, always wear a condom and always wear a mask.
It's not hard, guys.
It's not hard. And maybe we can make some transparent ones.
Yeah. And if you want to reach us, you can call 517-208-1500. We will try to get you on today.
Yeah.
I'm still getting acclimated and comfortable here with the boards and speaking on camera and everything. So I will try to bring you in as soon as I can. And we will be right back with this tip from Elizabeth Yarnell.
Companies like to use these chemicals because they have a long shelf life and produce a standard taste across the product. They don't have to disclose what these flavors are actually made from, but you can bet they are not created from real foods or plants. You may have thought you were making a healthy choice by drinking something containing natural flavors, but these chemicals may in fact be contributing to your own health issues. When I have natural flavors, my eyelids begin to peel. That's a bit extreme, but if you've been struggling to get healthier, avoiding chemicals like these in natural flavors may help. Your best bet is to always choose products that contain real ingredients and not natural flavors or other chemicals. Yours always in health, Dr. Elizabeth Yarnell.
Great. So that was Dr. Elizabeth. One of the things that we are going to start doing here on the show, we wanted to get a few shows in the can, and then we're going to start promoting when we're coming on. But Dr. Elizabeth Yarnell is going to be on with us a little bit later. And I just want to explain a bit about who I am, because people are like, who is this Dr. Tranquility? What is she talking about?
Yeah, how did you get started?
Yeah, so when I was in my late 30s, so friends came to me and said, you know, you utilize hypnosis and you do all of this type of work with people. Can't you do something to help me find the right guy?
Right.
And that was how it started. We began doing research with couples. We found that we were higher in a divorce rate years later going back. I mean, lower in a divorce rate than most people, because you really do connect with your ideal mate.
Yeah.
Usually date therapy takes about 3 sessions. For some people, there's some underlying issues, and so we move over to more of Dr. Tranquility. I have a background in mind-body medicine from Harvard's Mind-Body Institute, Columbia Physicians and Surgeons in Botanical Meds, and I'm a hypnotic anesthesiologist, which means that I use the mind to block pain and stress.
And that's how we met.
Yeah. So I'm going to have you, just to begin here, close off your right nostril and breathe through the left. Some of you have seen me on my Instagram. I hear from you all the time. It's tiny. It's only about 7,000, but I still hear from all of you. So we're just going to breathe. Inhale through the left. And you want to do that about 10 times. And you may even feel a little bit lightheaded. That's okay. It's your body tripping into parasympathetic mode. Very good. And we're actually going to do a session at the end of today, right after we speak with Dr. Elizabeth. And I'm hoping you guys are able to hear me, because I'm not able to bring up the chart for some reason, the chat. So I don't know if you're hearing me or not. So if you want to leave me a message, you can always reach me on 212-920-1603, and that will make its way to me. I'm so excited to be speaking with you. Okay, so Camille, what do you find most in men? Do you find that their behavior patterns have changed in terms of their sexuality, or do you find that they're a bit more cautious?
So I feel like the guys are not cautious enough, or at least around me and around you. But I feel like I am the one that has to establish boundaries, right? Like as a woman, you have to always ask them to wrap it up, mask it up. So, you know, we really have to be the independent women that set the boundaries and really establish like our comfortableness and our security. And also too, a lot of guys just want to get away with whatever they can. So you have to watch yourself.
Do you find that being indoors for COVID makes people go wild?
Yeah.
Or are they more guarded?
Well, luckily we've been saved the past 2 months with outdoor dining. My concern is that before that, you're right. It was actually exactly what your question was like biased towards. We were going a little nuts as New Yorkers. There was, it was a complete shutdown of the city. There was also a curfew, and I mean, New York, we have paid to live here in this expensive rig for the accessibility of 24/7, essentially. And when that shut down, a lot of people really went kind of this extreme of just getting depressed and They went from being extremely outgoing to having to stay in, meeting no one. A lot of people had like no social contact. And most of the people living here in New York City are extroverts. And then also, I'd have to say they're like, now that we're getting towards fall and the colder months, I'm concerned that if we don't, figure out a way for this new norm to be well practiced, and getting the restaurants here in the end of September, I'm worried about a depression spike again.
Well, I know we're seeing a lot of anxiety.
Yep.
It's acute onset anxiety for some because of the isolation. You're right. They're indoors. They're not communicating. They're not connecting. Yes. I'm a little worried that people are going to get too comfortable indoors and stop and be leery of leaving their homes and going out into the public arena.
And I forgot to say, that reminded me that the main point that I was wanting to make was that I would really like to see our government being able to enforce the new norm, because when the government isn't comfortable and they're trying to keep everyone to one extreme of not going out and meeting them, we can't really control the underground parties that are happening.
No.
And there's a lot. And there's a lot.
New York is notorious for like the speakeasy mindset, the after hours bars.
They're smart. They can get away with it.
And so they're still continuing to do it. I mean,
and it's not safe.
I couldn't believe the beach house at the Jersey Shore. With all those kids. I mean,
and the Hamptons is really bad. There was a chain smokers concert. So, what I'm asking is, you're right. People are not taking this, they're not being cautious enough. And the government has completely gone from one extreme to shutting everything down, to where we need to come as a society and be responsible and accept that this is our new norm, and go on your first date and treat this as like safe sex. We are protecting our health and our minds, and we don't really know if the vaccine's safe. And
it's tricky out there.
Right.
It definitely is tricky out there.
And I think that, we have to understand that we don't want to stop our lives for this disease. We don't want to live in fear. And, I certainly want to keep dating. And there's a way, like you had expressed earlier, of, I know we're so used to as a society looking at your mouth to see if it's, the same kind of body language as your eyes and your body. How do we detect that with a mask on?
Well, actually, it's not the mouth.
Yeah.
You can really watch their reaction in body language. And maybe we'll do a whole talk on, body language.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people would really like to know and see if it's in sync and in jive. And really what you're listening to is the tonality of the voice.
Exactly. That was the lie detector. It also monitors, your level of speaking, if it's spiking when you're saying certain words, or that's actually really good. I didn't think about the audio and your voice level.
Yes. Time to pay one more bill, and
I'm excited to announce the first application of its kind. We've launched Money for Likes on iOS and Google Play. This app will allow all content creators, artists, videographers, and digital artists, just to name a few, to post their content and receive likes. We call money likes. Likes that are monetized. That's right, content creators will receive money transferable to their bank account, PayPal, and Venmo. Download the app, make a $10 in-app purchase. You'll receive 1,000 money likes to give your favorite content creator, and post your content and receive likes that matter. Download the app today on iOS or Google Play.
And that app really is cool. A lot of us are
legitimate.
A lot of us are creators or creatrixes, and the app enables you to sponsor people. With only $10, and you can choose penny or dollar or whatever you want, and you have 1,000, I believe.
Yes.
So it's a really good app to use and to get yourselves on. It's a great way to. It's like crowdfunding with sponsorship.
Right. And I think that there's like a one-time $10 fee,
Yeah, it's a
and
one-time $10
and then
fee.
you make so much more from it. I already have. So, I mean, exactly, like, why not make some money for your likes instead of nothing?
Money for likes. I would have had $7,000.
Right? Got to get on that.
Okay, so coming back.
Yes.
What is your experience when you're talking with some of your 20-year-old, 20-something girlfriends about all of this?
You know, I've had some girlfriends really, really successful in this area. And I know I've been kind of jumping around, but I think also the girlfriends that I've known to be really successful, they're actually more earth signs. They're a little bit more grounded, and they are definitely more of a grounded individual who like knows themselves, and they have a little bit less transformation in their end. So for me, I'm a complete air sign. I'm a Libra, and I feel like it's taken me until my later 20s, I'm about to be 29, to really figure out who I am, what I want, and how was I supposed to be able to find somebody before this period of my life to where I really am sure of what I want to do and what I expect out of another individual, and for me to be confident as the true person as I am. So that's most of it, is really figuring out yourself.
Well, healthy boundaries is something that everyone hears me talk about constantly, whether it's as Dr. Tranquility in those protocols or in date therapy protocols. It's really about having healthy boundaries. If you're feeling oppressed and someone is literally sitting on your chest, then that is not a healthy boundary. By the same token, conversely, if they're all the way across the room, that's not a healthy boundary either. So it's finding that happy medium and that safe space. And one of the beauties of this time frame in time in our lives is that you can pre-screen someone that you're going to be going out with. You can pre-screen them on the phone. You can pre-screen them on Messenger. You can pre-screen them on FaceTime. You can pre-screen them. So you can actually get to know each other a little bit.
Right.
And getting to know each other will help you on the date. And that's one of the most important things, I think. Healthy boundaries, pre-screening. Because think about it. If you're going on a date and you don't know where you're going, you could wear heels in the mountains. Because they may want to go hiking or through a park and you're in stilettos. So it's a great way. One of the big stressors I've always stressed is to talk. Find out what's going to transpire on that date so that you know you're comfortable and appropriately attired.
And I always like to find like an activity to do something with a man. Like that really establishes like bonding. And it's just like how you said earlier, one of my girlfriends, I was talking and complaining about this guy and she just called him Mr. Minimal Effort. And I was like, you're totally right. I was like, you have to really look at the basis of your dating and not think that you're always the exception of the rule. They're either a Mr. Minimal Effort, they're Mr. Perfect, or they're Mr. Codependent. So, or Mr. Controlling. So you were totally right about that. You have to look at the signs of when you're dating.
You do. And you also want to take a step back. If you feel nervous or uncomfortable, or you're picking up on something, trust yourself.
Intuition.
You know, your intuition is key. As women, it really is from our womb. More than anything else. Check in with your body. Check in with yourself. And if you're feeling stressed or ill at ease, take that time to get to know them. Maybe have another phone call. Meet in a very, very public place. You know, honor yourselves and your boundaries.
Right. Like, it's important not to be impulsive. Sometimes I get a little impulsive and excited, but I think it's important to not ever like undersell yourself. I've never regretted breaking up with somebody. Have you?
No. The only one I regretted, I took him back. So and then we broke up again. So that solves that problem. But so just take time and really get to know yourself, allow yourself room to grow and room to come back to the situation. You know, it is exciting to get out of the house. Make sure you're getting out of the house and going on walks and doing other things. Don't count on your dating process
Right.
to get you out of the house. You want to stand from a strong position when you're dating, and you're not in a strong position if you're like, I need this date, I got to get out of the house. That's not strength.
Exactly. And yeah, be creative. Use this time. It was Cuomo's, like, one of his most inspiring messages was when he said, this time is going to determine you. And that was a moment where I stopped drinking and I started being creative with what I could do. Yes.
She joined the club.
So there's ways to be creative with how you have fun. Like, I created a scavenger hunt one day in Central Park where we were going to end up, like, to have, you know, an hors d'oeuvre or whatever. But there are ways to get outside and to be comfortable. And we, like, reveled. I don't know if you have Revel, wear your helmet, but get on the moped, get on a bicycle, do something outdoors, because I guarantee that adrenaline is going to tie some kind of bonding.
Well, not just the adrenaline, the phenylethylamine. So look in your partners or prospective partners, if you really like them. Don't do this. If you don't, it's not fair. Look at them right directly in the eyes. When you lock eyes for at least 30 seconds, it releases something called phenylethylamine.
Phenylethylamine.
And it's a bonding, cuddling.
Oh, I remember
chemical.
You saying.
Right. So it has to bond and connect and really feel good with one another.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I noticed that the men that I am more in tune with, and I feel like I have more in common, they always want to hold my hand. Or they do something exciting, and it ties in with that bonding, how they treat me. It's always walking the inside of the sidewalk, away from the road, and like,
I love that. I all men do that.
And I remember tomorrow's date. There was no question of whether I was going to say no or yes, because he had said, "Oh, let's meet under the archway at Washington Park," and I thought, how exhilarating and how fun and how different, you know?
Yeah.
So. Definitely, like, that's a chemical that you really need when dating.
And we highly recommend you use at LFTD infused teas. These are herbal blends, and she infuses them with premium alcohol. She also makes a line of products that do not have any alcohol in it, just CBD. And it's a wonderful way to kickstart your dates. So at LFTD, that's Lifted Infused Teas on Instagram and Facebook.
And I know a lot of people say CBD always generally makes you sleepy. It actually doesn't. I had a CBD drink the other day that was geared towards focusing, and it did help. So it's not always.
The botanicals are amazing these days, and we can always get new botanicals, and really excited. We're just going to play another round of we're going to make some money, honey. We'll be right back.
I love it.
Hi, this is Blaze. That is at LFTD Infused Teas on Facebook and Instagram. I've got my Tranquilates. Have you got yours?
Have you got yours?
I need more.
Do. Yes, I love her teas. They're amazing. She is actually one of our sponsors. We're moving so many tablets and things around here. She is actually one of our sponsors for our live events. And so we do live women's events. It's called Following Your Passion and Making Moves. Mm-hmm. And she comes on board with all of her amazing, some of her amazing samples, and everyone in the room is in a calm, comfortable state. So we are waiting for our next guest to come on. And while we're waiting, I'm going to take you through a little date therapy session.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So we are going to close off the right nostril, breathing through the left. We're going to do this 5 times. Good. Close your eyes, picturing and imagining a stairwell, but these stairs are very, very wide and just a teeny, about an inch or two apart, so you never have to worry about falling. So you're going to step off. We're going to count from the 10th stair down to the first stair. 10, 9, feeling the wood beneath your feet, feeling the step. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, almost there now. And as you step off on 1, you're in a special place that you've created in your mind's eye today. So you're going to take that step now down to 1, noticing fragrances, aromas, colors. Maybe there's birds in your magical place. Perhaps it's the ocean. Whatever is your special place. And just go there and relax. Very good. Picturing and imagining a box. Now this is your stressor box. You can use this anytime. So your stressor box can be made of any material that you choose. It can be glass or seashell or wood. It may be as small as a ring box or as large as a construction site dumpster. There are only 2 main features of the box. That is an ATM-style deposit slot and a big lock. We're going to leave the key here in our special place because you don't need it. The minute you put things into your box, you make your deposits, they spontaneously evaporate, so they're gone. So let's create a box. I will sit quietly for 1 moment. For 1 moment will be all the time that you need. Very good. Now, I want you to think of your top dating or relationship. This may be a partner. It may be a husband or wife. It may be someone you're dating but you're not yet that serious about. Whatever it is, I want you to take that top stressor and deposit it into the box. I line my box with pillows just in case, so when I throw in humans, they're comfortable. And I will sit quietly again while you do that. For 1 moment of relaxation time is the equivalent to 1 hour of clock time. Very good. Thank you. I just realized the fan. Okay, great. Now, we're going to take a big balloon, whichever balloon fits your size and whatever cord, and we're going to tie it around the box. Tight. And you'll start to notice as the box drifts higher and higher and further away, you're feeling lighter and freer. Further and further, lighter and freer. So light and so free. You can't even remember feeling this light and free. It's wonderful. As it drifts out of sight, picturing a bold yellow light entering a golden warm light, bathing your tip of your toes, moving all the way up through your body and out of the top of your head, emanating out of every pore on your body, creating a bubble. This is your special bubble. You can take it with you anywhere, anytime you're feeling stressed. So let's begin to ascend. 1, climbing higher. 2, 3, climbing higher. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You may open your eyes. You may want to take a sip of water, like I'm going to do. And we are so excited. We already have our very beautiful and talented doctor, and she's beautiful, and she ain't bad to look at either. She's beautiful on the inside. She's going to talk with us today, as we mentioned. We're going to be talking about inflammatory foods, and specifically how we can look great on our dates. You know, I know the one thing I hate doing when I'm on a date, especially with a new one, I sit there and I try to hold it and I feel like I'm going to explode, you know, like a little chocolate sauce floating all over the place. She's going to tell us what we can do to look our best. And her name is Dr. Elizabeth Yarnell. We're just so honored she could fit us in between her patients. Hi, Dr. Elizabeth. How are you?
Hi, Dr. Tranquility. Hi there. It's so nice to be here with both of you.
Thank
Nice
you.
to meet you.
This is Camille.
Hi, Camille.
This is Dr. Elizabeth Yarnell.
I've heard such good things about you.
Well, I think the reverse is true as well. So it's a pleasure to meet you.
So we're so excited to talk with you because I know there are things that we should avoid if we don't want to blow up.
Kale.
Yeah, I know that kale smoothie gets me every time. It's not pretty. What do you recommend if you're trying to, combat inflammatory issues?
So my best advice for anybody who is trying to improve their health is to try to stick with whole foods versus processed foods.
Right.
So start reading all the labels on everything you just randomly grab for, and you may become quite horrified at what you start seeing, all the chemicals that you can't pronounce, all the artificial sugars and artificial flavors and colors and fragrance, all these toxic chemicals that are just so rampant in our food supplies and even in our personal care products and our cleaning supplies, all of those things. Just doing that one step, and I can say that one step, not that it's that easy to start cleaning up your whole life like this, but starting to pay attention to where all those chemicals are coming into your life can really, really help.
And I have a question. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
On the banner, you see, here, I'll hold it. You see the lovely
guard dog.
He's my husband. He's the easiest husband I've ever had.
He just is a great guard dog. But I was going to ask you, we just had this conversation today. We were getting a matcha latte, and she, was like, okay, be careful about your soy consumption because I'm Japanese. And we just eat tofu. And I noticed I was breaking out around my chin when I was getting my soy latte. And then I was getting my tofu. And then in my granola bars, it's hidden everywhere. So,
soy, I think soy in and of itself is not necessarily a problem.
Right.
But the fact that over 90% of the soy in this country, in America, is GMO is a problem.
Right.
So sticking with organic soy as much as you can, for sure. But it's never a bad idea to kind of shake things up a little bit and not have the same thing all the time.
I noticed that about my body when I would try these certain diets. It would work in the beginning very well, and then I would notice I'd have to change it up, and because I would get to be very habitual with my life and routine. So,
well, this is the doctor to ask.
Yeah.
So even in my own fridge, I'll do an almond milk, and then I'll do a coconut milk, and then I'll do an oat milk or something else. Right. So I'll just kind of rotate through different things so that I'm just not having it all the time. I notice for myself, I can get into a rut where I just have almonds, everything almond. I've got the almond butter. I've got the almond milk. I'm eating almonds. I'm snacking on them, and then I can overdo it on almonds.
Yeah, because their fat content. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I know with almond milk, it tends to be so sweet
Yeah.
I mean, even the unsweetened version tastes sweet to me.
Well, which is not a bad thing. And also back to the fat thing, I actually think the fat in almonds is really good and healthy for you. But you can over acclimate your body to something and develop a sensitivity if you have it all the time, day in, day out. Not to mention the fact that you're not getting the whole range of nutrients you need. I had a patient who ate every day. She would pack her lunch and she would put in lettuce and tomatoes and green peppers and tuna fish every day for like 30 years.
Oh, tuna has a lot of mercury too.
Tuna has a lot of mercury. This was kind of earlier, starting in the 70s, so not as much then. But yes, tuna has a lot of mercury. But the same thing, green lettuce, tomatoes, and peppers. Lettuce, tomatoes, and peppers. Lettuce, tomatoes, and peppers. Like, yeah, those are all very healthy things for you, but when you eat, that's all you're eating every day, you're not getting the full range of nutrients that you really need.
Wow. Now, Elizabeth, are there like 5 things that you would recommend someone should stop eating maybe the day before an important event or date, or just something?
Something to prevent bloating.
To combat the inflammation that happens with some of these foods, and so they can fit that for us.
I've heard turmeric is good for inflammatory.
Turmeric is good.
Turmeric is good, and in fact, that's one of my favorite anti-inflammatory remedies. Okay. So it's not something you can take prophylactically, like every day, take a turmeric pill and feel like you won't be inflamed. And in fact, it'll decrease in effectiveness if you take it regularly like that. So you want to save it and hold it in reserve for when you need it.
I didn't know that, because I've got a little eye drop of the spice condensed in a liquid form, so I can just drop it on my tongue. But that's so helpful to know that you're not supposed to take it every day.
Not every day. It'll lose some of its potency for you.
Yeah, but just step up.
So if I guess I'm going to address your question in a couple of different perspectives. Okay. If I knew I had a big date tomorrow night, and today I was bloated and feeling crappy, I would take turmeric tonight so that tomorrow I'll feel better and I won't be as bloated. And so in preparation for it. If I was on a date and all of a sudden I have to unzip my pants, where I have been on those dates before, back in my 20s and my dating years, I would take digestive enzymes, plant-based digestive enzymes.
Very good.
And if you're taking the right ones, they can kick in less than 20 minutes and will decrease that bloating right away, and you can start to feel better.
Elizabeth, do you have, or Dr. Elizabeth, excuse me, I know her personally.
You call me Elizabeth.
Do you have a brand or, let's say 3 brands, because we shouldn't really just give one, that you recommend of plant-based enzymes?
So the brand I recommend, it's called Enzyme Formulations. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, you have to buy it through a practitioner. So you can get it on my website in my shop page.
Okay. Me. And that's ElizabethYarnell.com.
ElizabethYarnell.com. I love this brand because there are no fillers. There's no allergens. It's really just a pure, beautiful combination of numerous digestive enzymes. And if you take a plant-based digestive enzyme, you really can't overdose on them. And sometimes you may need to take more than the recommended dosage on the label. So you should take enzymes always when you are eating. The way that enzymes work is, if you think about that commercial where the guy sprays the blood stain for OxyClean and the blood breaks into little particles and floats away, that's what digestive enzymes do in your stomach, is they just go in with the food and they break it into little particles so it can move on through your stomach and your intestines. And then they're gone. They don't go into your bloodstream. They don't stick around. They don't interact with any other medications or anything like that. Okay. But again, you can't take it prophylactically. You can't get up and say, I'm going to take my enzymes at 6 a.m. and I'm going to count on them working at lunch at 12. You have to take them with the food in your stomach.
Okay. So would you recommend a loading dose? Like perhaps?
You can take it like within the first few bites of your meal.
Okay.
But most people would do fine just with whatever the dosage is on the bottle of the brand that you're taking, which is usually 2 capsules, 1 or 2 capsules. If you can always take more. So sometimes I'll have taken some at the beginning of my meal, and then towards the middle to the end of my meal, I feel like it's kind of heavy in there, and I'll just reach and take 2 more. Or maybe I have some burping or some gas. I'll just take 2 more. Maybe I'll get home an hour and a half later and I'll be like, I'm still feeling that, and I'll take 2 more. Again, you cannot overdose on digestive enzymes.
Oh, that's great. And speaking of food, and you have a book, Glorious One Pot Meals.
I do.
And this is a
There we go.
book, guys. It teaches you all sorts of recipes from one pot meals. So if you're indoors, if you're staying in with your lover, partner, family, or you're cooking at work, then this would be a great book, and especially for romantic meals. Elizabeth has it all broken down for you. Elizabeth, take it away. I'm going to let you talk about Glorious One Pot Meals.
In fact, it's perfect for dating because every single recipe is for 2 people.
Wow.
Yep. So
you are fine for a lot of people.
I know. And in fact, this was a big problem when I was trying to find a publisher, because all the publishers were like, well, nobody's going to buy a cookbook for 2 people. Everybody wants a cookbook for 4. I'm like, that's not true at all. There's lots of couples or single people out there who don't want to cook for 4 or 5 people and eat the same food for the rest of the week, or do the math and figure out how to decrease the recipe, right? All the fractions, half an egg or whatever. So
much easier to double it than half it.
It's much easier to double or triple, and you can absolutely do that with my recipes too. So you can make them to feed 4 or 6, but you just double or triple, just so much easier.
Okay, cool. So which recipe, if you had to pick one? I'm going to say salmon because I love salmon.
I love salmon.
I do too. And it's so good for women.
I have a sesame soy jasmine salmon recipe that is delicious. So the way that my cookbook works is that the recipes, I look at them more like suggestions.
Okay.
So they're really meant to inspire you. I don't expect that most people are going to make the recipe exactly as written, but I teach you the whole technique so that you can create your own meals out of whatever you have in your kitchen, in your house, in your pantry. And you don't have to necessarily follow the recipe, but you can take advantage of the spices and the flavorings to recreate those flavors. So if we just look at the sesame soy salmon recipe that I have in here, we could make that sesame soy chicken. We could make it sesame soy pork. We could make it sesame soy beef. It could be sesame soy tofu. It doesn't matter. It's on a bed of rice in the book, jasmine rice. But you could make it with potatoes. You could make it with quinoa. You could make it with millet. You could make it carb free if you want to. Every single thing is substitutable. Every protein for every protein, every carb for every carb, and every veggie for every veggie.
That's so nice because I hate wasting food. I don't know about you, but
yes. Well, that's great. So now you've got, guys, you've got your digestive enzymes, which you want to pick up on ElizabethYarnell.com. You're going to get a couple of candles. You're going to burn some patchouli and a little jasmine. And there is your romantic evening. And it's fun to even do this and get dressed up, even if you're living with each other and you've been around each other all the time. This is a nice way to give the relationship a little kick.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit of fun to go outside your box and really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So on that note, can I just plug in one more little thing? So candles. Candles are not something that we talk about a lot in mainstream world, but candles can contribute a lot to indoor air pollution. So we want to make sure that the candles we use are natural based, like a soy based or a coconut based or a beeswax based, and that they have essential oils used as their fragrances instead of artificial fragrances.
Right. Yes.
But artificial fragrances are one of my
they're just so bad for you. I mean,
They're so bad for
migraine.
you.
You know, I can tell right away if someone is burning a non-essential oil product, but a fragrance product. I can tell instantly. And I just don't feel well.
And, you know, especially like right now in this time of rampant fires, where that's all compromising our air quality. And I don't know if it's coming as far east as you guys in New York, but I'm in Colorado and we're getting the smoke from the California fires.
Yeah, it's a little bad here. Yeah.
It's bad. So we want to be careful about this air quality. And if you have a HEPA filter, air purifier, it's not a bad idea to use it.
From Muji. It's really tiny.
Excellent. Yeah, you can get a good one at Bed Bath & Beyond, right? Or like I have one from the Sharper Image that I've had for maybe 20 years. That is awesome and is really helpful. Because these are all environmental atmospheric toxins that are going into your body. I mean, we think about now, we like, okay, well, I'm going to wear a mask when I'm out around other people, but I don't need to wear it like if I'm outside by myself in the woods. Well, I'm walking around walking my dog in a mask because there's particulates in the air, just like 20 years ago when I was in China and Hong Kong, and people would wear masks because the pollution is so bad.
I started enjoying mine when I stepped into the smelly restrooms. I was like, this is protecting me from particles.
Yay. So, Dr. Elizabeth Yarnell, how can people get a hold of you?
So the best way, Lydia, as you mentioned before, is through my website at elizabethyarnell.com. And if you go and you shoot me an email, I'd be happy to offer any of our listeners today a complimentary naturopathic health assessment. And we can talk about what they can do to get their health back on track.
That sounds good. So we're going to have to promote that.
Yes. Especially with COVID. I started drinking filtered water even.
That's not a bad idea. And it's very timely because I'm just about to release an ebook about, I think it's called, and I'm still playing around with the title, something about how to avoid, treat, and recover from a virus.
Outstanding. Let me know when you do.
I need to read that.
Let me know. Okay, guys. So we've got the natural non-fragrance essential oil. Make sure you have that. 2 candles. Elizabeth's glorious 1-pot meal. And then for dessert, you can go shopping at victoriassecrets.com.
itself.
Yes. And then you can wear that the next time you make dinner together. Dr. Elizabeth's book, again, on our website, elizabethyarnell.com. You can always find me under Dr. Tranquility, DR, or Doctor spelled out, tranquility.com. And if you're looking for our events and all sorts of fun, interesting presentations with amazing people and women, you can find that at Satori XPR, SATORIXPR.com. Dr. Elizabeth Yarnell, thank you so much for being with us.
Yes, thank you.
It was such a pleasure, Camille. So nice to meet and chat with you. Yes, big kisses.
I learned a lot about this turmeric. So.
I love my girl tribe. It's the bomb. All right, sweetie. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Get that free assessment, guys. It's really wonderful. It's of total value. And if you're tuning in today, we're also going to run some information about it when we promote this particular show. These are our first shows. So what I've decided to do is just let them run and then promote them as a series of on-demands. Because we get so many.
Yeah.
I mean, the breathing exercise that I took you through had 14,000 on Instagram.
Right.
When I put it up. So you're getting all sorts of stuff for free for dating and relationships and loverships. So be kind to one another. Get out there and, smile. But if you can't smile because of the mask, actually use your voice.
Yeah.
And say hello.
And smile with your eyes.
Yes. Lots of love to you. Enjoy your week. We will see you again next week. Goodbye.